Okay, I would like to welcome everyone to today's webinar, um, Tourism Reimagined, Driving Sustainable Growth in Asia Pacific. So welcome to everyone who's joined already, wherever you might be based. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. While we are waiting for more people to join, I would slowly like to go. So my name is Rung Tepgao. I'm the Senior Manager for Membership Engagement. I'm going to be the MC for today's webinar. Before we go into the webinar, I would like to quickly go over some housekeeping rules. So there will be opportunity for you to ask your questions, and there will be time to get your questions answered. So for that, please submit any questions that you might have in the Q&A. So as you can see here on the slide, please use the Q&A function to do so. Use the chat function only to engage with others, communicate with other participants, but please be aware, once again, if you want to submit a question for the Q&A session, please do so in the Q&A function as indicated here on the slide. So just having a quick look. Okay. So I would now like to officially start the webinar after we've done the housekeeping, and would like to introduce Nur Hamid, our Chief Executive Officer at the Pacific Asia Travel Association, to give some welcome remarks for this webinar. So Nur, over to you.
Thank you, Rung. Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone coming from PATA head office in Bangkok. Of course, it is indeed my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this PATA webinar series with the title for today, that is Tourism Reimagined, Driving Sustainable Growth in Asia Pacific. Firstly, let me begin by extending our sincerest appreciation to our valued partner, the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, for their collaboration that has been instrumental in making today's session possible, and their ongoing research continues to provide essential insights that shape the future of tourism in our Asia-Pacific region. A special thank you, of course, to a good friend of mine and all of us here, that is Professor Hyun Song and his team at the School of Hotel and Tourism Management of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University for their expertise and the data-driven approach in producing the PATA Asia Pacific Visitor Forecast 2025-2027 mid-year update, which form the basis of today's discussion. I also like to extend my warm welcome and thanks to Dr. Anju Liu, Assistant Professor at the school and one of the report authors, who will be sharing valuable insights with us during this session. Over the past six months, our industry has face a wave of global uncertainties and disruption, from geopolitical conflict, economic challenges to currency volatility, and the rising local resistance to mass tourism. This development underscores the urgent need for detailed, data-driven forecasting that goes beyond numbers, offering practical guidance to help us navigate what future holds. This is exactly what makes the mid-year update edition of the Asia Pacific Visitor Forecast report a valuable asset to all. By exploring the three different recovery scenarios, the report provides strategic context for stakeholders to anticipate and understand the market shift, respond to disruptions, and seize emerging opportunities over the next 3 years and beyond. The mid-year update, which we'll be talking shortly, was released earlier today with complimentary access available to selected PATA membership levels, and I encourage our members to review their benefit and make use of this important resource. If you need assistance in this matter, please feel welcome to contact any of our member at PATA. And looking ahead, on July 1st, PATA will publish the 39 individual destination forecast report, offering localized, market-specific insights to further support your strategic planning. Once again, I extend sincere gratitude to the Hong Kong Polytechnic University for their continued support, and to all of you for joining us today. I look forward to a meaningful and forward-looking discussion as we collectively shape the future of tourism in Asia Pacific region. Thank you, and back to you, Rom.
Thank you very much, Noor. So let's continue. So after we've heard from Noor, I would now like to very officially, formally welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Anu Liu. As Noor already introduced him, the assistant professor at School of Hotel and Tourism Management at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So welcome, Dr. Anu Liu. And without further ado, I would like to hand over to you.
Thank you, Rung. So I would like to share my slides. So does it work?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. And thank you, Pata, to give us the opportunity to share the forecast, mid-year forecast updates. And also, I'm very honored to represent the forecast on behalf of the research team in the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So the title of the presentation today is Aimed Uncertainties. So basically, we are talking about the forecast, updated forecast in the next 3 years with the drivers for recovery and challenges. So as Noah just mentioned that in the last 6 months, we do experience a very turbulent period in our industry. So on the bright side, we have the robust economic rebound and increasing travel demand. We also have the targeted government support and policy easing, particularly for the visa issues. And also we have the upgraded infrastructure and restored air connectivity, followed by the accelerated digital adoption in travel and the border process, which are all the good practice to help the industry to recover to the pre-COVID level. But we do have a downside, which we will talk about later. So the fact is that based on our forecast under the medium scenario, the recovery of the Asia Pacific region is expected to reach 101.34 in 2025 compared to the pre-COVID level. What we are talking about is that by the end of 2025, we will reach 692 million inbound visitors, and then followed by 756 million in 2022, and then we will reach 801 million in 2027. The recovery is expected to progress steadily, reaching 110.8 in 2026 and 117.34 by 2027. And even for the worst scenario, the slowest region, the Pacific region, is projected to reach 108% by 2027, which means that by 2027, in all three scenarios, all the regions in Pacific Asia region will recover to the pre-COVID level. Oops, give me a second. Now here is the top 10 inbound destination in Asia Pacific by 2025. So we can see it is already recovered to the pre-COVID level. China has already regained the largest destination in Asia Pacific. So China will welcome, this is 131.8 million visitors by 2025 and later on reach 139.9 million in 2027. For the second largest destination is USA, which will end at 82.9 million by 2027. These forecasts are all under the medium scenario. And then Turkish is the third largest destination in Asia Pacific. So from 65.0 million in 2025 to 78.1 million in 2027. We should keep caution that in the top 10 destinations, there are Hong Kong and Macau, two SARs in China. So as we all know, most of visitors to Hong Kong and Macau, they are the same day visitors from mainland China. So indeed, the overnight visitors to these two destinations are relatively limited. In the top 10 destinations, we also have Mexico, Japan, Thailand, Malaysia, and Canada. So if we consider this is only the number of total visitor arrivals to the top 10 destinations. If we will also consider the growth rate of these destinations, then we can have this figure. So for this figure, the horizontal axis indicates the total visitor arrivals with the unit of million, and the vertical axis indicates the growth rate, which is the 2025 growth rate compared to 2024. Then we have 4 subregions in this figure. So on the very top right, these destinations are with high total visitor arrivals and also high growth rate, including like Turkey and Korea. For this region, they enjoyed very large number of total visitor arrivals, but the growth rate is relatively slow, including China, US, Mexico, Japan, and Malaysia. For China and the USA, we can think about maybe somehow they are the mature destinations and the largest 2 destinations in Asia Pacific. So the growth rate is relatively under the expectation, which have been indicated by the red stars. On the left-hand side, for these destinations, we can see there are Chinese Taipei, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Nepal, Mongolia in Central. They are all small, relatively small destinations. So although the growth rate is very high, but the scale of the destinations is limited. And the last region here on this side, including Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, French Polynesia, Samoa. Most destinations are in the Pacific, so we will discuss this later. The recovery of those destinations in the Pacific are the expectation. We also have Myanmar here because of the tariff fraud issue, so the recovery of Myanmar is also under the average growth rate is 10.21, and the average visitor arrivals is 17.74 million. This is similar to the previous presentations we did in the past years. This is the methodology we use to generate the forecast. I will not repeat here, but for the details, we can check the methodological annex in the report. Here are the destinations included in the Asia Pacific in the forecasting report, including 39 destinations in total. There are 7 in the Northeast Asia region, including China, Hong Kong, Macau, Japan, Korea, Chinese Taipei, and Mongolia. And 9 in Southeast Asia from Thailand to Malaysia, Singapore in Central. And then we have another 5 in the South Asia region, which are India, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Nepal, Bhutan, and only 1 destination in West Asia, which is Turkey. We do have another 13 destinations in the Pacific from Hawaii, Australia, New Zealand in Central, and then there are another 4 in the Americans from USA, the USA, Mexico, Canada, and Chile. So for the numbers in the brackets are the change of the rank. For example, PNG, the rank of PNG in the Pacific changed from 10th to the 8th, and then the Cook Islands and Samoa, the rank of total number of visitor arrivals decreased to the 9th and 10th in the subregion. This figure presents the top 5 source markets in the Asia Pacific. So the largest source market is China, followed by the USA. And then the third is Korea, Canada, and Chinese Taipei. if we look at the table on the right-hand side, these are a longer list of the source markets in Asia Pacific. So we can see for the UK, India, and Iran, the rank in the list improves. For example, the UK from 9th in 2019 to the 7th in 2027. India from 16th to 13th. Iran in 2019, it was ranked at 29th, but then in 2027, it ranked at the 22nd. But due to the war between Iran and Israel, so there is question mark here how much it will go further in the next 3 years. On the other hand, for Singapore and Brazil, the rank in this list dropped a little bit. Now we come to the inbound forecast. So this figure and table shows the total visitor arrivals to the Asia Pacific region in the next 3 years. We can see under the medium scenario, by 2025, the Asia Pacific region will recover to the pre-COVID level, and the visitor arrivals is 692 million, which will further reach 801 million by 2027. Even in the worst scenario, by 2027, it will recover to 680 million, which is almost close to the pre-COVID level. The drivers for the recovery we have already mentioned a bit, including the economic recovery and the increasing demand from source market. And one more, I think the most important issue or factor to drive the recovery is the restored air connectivity and capacity, as we can observe in the last 6 or even 12 months. Then the ongoing digital adoption across the travel journey, which make the travel more convenient, so which can also drive the recovery. And then to further recover the economy, always the destination, all the destinations make a great effort to do their marketing and also their bilateral facilitation between destinations and source markets to do the promotions, and also the public and the private synergy, including the investment from the government and also the strategical planning from the private companies. So this all can help the recovery of the destinations in Asia Pacific. We have the bright side, then we also have the downside. If we think about the presentation we did 6 months ago, I think the only unchanged phenomenon is the changing stuff in the last 6 months. So these challenges, including the uneven visa policies and travel restrictions, rising travel costs and airfare inflation due to the war between Ukraine and Russia, and also the geopolitical tensions and conflicts, which also has, for example, the war between Israel and Iran just emerged, although they said it's terminated, but let's see what is going on. And also the economic uncertainty and currency fluctuations, including the tariff issued by the US and also the visa policy. For example, US has already suspended all the student visa applications at the moment. So, and also the compound destination risks, climate vulnerability. Regarding the travel restrictions, the US has already announced full restrictions on Myanmar and partial limits on Laos, considering their national security issues, with Cambodia, Bhutan, and Vanuatu facing potential restrictions since June the 16th. This means that for these destinations, for these source markets, for those residents there, it's almost impossible to go to US. That means that maybe the market share of US from the Southeast Asia will be replaced by other destinations. Also, there are enhanced visa screen, prolonged processing times, and risk entry denials even for valid visa holders. And while stricter policy reduce academic exchange in doing long-term U.S. cultural influence, this is what we just mentioned. The U.S. has already suspended all the student visa applications at the moment, so this will for sure reduce the number of visitors to the U.S. in the next 2 or 3 years. Another big issue is the tariff policy and trade disputes. So although the tariff has not been raised that up at the very beginning, but there are some serious sequences we have already observed. For example, due to the increased tariff, some budgets of the companies have been cut, and also this will reduce long-haul travel, for example, from Europe to the US, from Asia to the US. And also think about the small island destinations in the Pacific. Those destinations, except their nature tourism resource, most of their resources are imported. Due to the tariff issues, the increased travel cost. So the local price there is also increased as well, meaning that from tourist perspective, it's more expensive to travel there. This will further weaken the recovery of those small destinations in Pacific. There are also some other issues related to tariff policy, for example, the raising operational costs and also the diversion of key source markets, including some destinations like Canada, they can avoid this issue, but some destinations cannot. Another big issue, big challenge for the recovery of the inbound market is the geopolitical uncertainties, including the wars and conflicts. For example, the war between Russia and Ukraine has not been stopped yet, and also we just mentioned the Israel-Iran conflicts, which indeed cut a lot of flights to Middle East region, which means that although we can now have observed that the inbound market of Turkey enjoying a very fast recovery, but due to this conflict, due to the cut of the flight into the Middle Eastern region, so there is also a question mark to the recovery of the markets, the destinations in the Middle East. There is another challenge is that due to those geopolitical uncertainties, due to the increased cost and also the safety issues. So after COVID, we have observed a pattern that people nowadays, they prefer to travel to the short haul destinations rather than long hauls. From the economic perspective, for the one of the reasons is that this can save money. The second is that because the airline the capacity, the routes have not been fully recovered, so the air flight tickets is not only expensive, but also the supply is relatively limited. So it's more convenient for people also travel to nearby short-haul destinations. This will have a very serious impact on the long-haul travel from other regions to Asia Pacific, and even some long-haul travels within the Asia Pacific. For example, from Asia to the US, from Asia, from the US, from the Americans to the Pacific. So all this have made us to need to consider this impact on the recovery, and we do need to forecast some insights for the recovery in the next 3 years. Regarding the sub-regions, let's start from the Americas. So we can see under the medium scenario, the American market will recover to 135 million in 2025 and reach 167 million by 2027. However, if the challenges we just mentioned have not been fixed in the next 3 years, we can see under the severe scenario, under the medium scenario, the recovery in 2025 will be 151 million, but under the severe scenario, the forecast will be 135 million, and and end at 146 million by 2027. This will be, we can see, less than the pre-COVID level. So the above challenges influence the recovery path of the America region in the next 3 years. We hope that all these challenges and uncertainties can be fixed, and we can embrace a very bright recovery of the markets in the short term. For the Northeast Asia region, under the medium scenario, the forecast in 2025 will be close to 300 million and 335 million by 2027. Even under the severe scenario, you can see by 2027, it will be 295 million, which is already close or above the pre-COVID level. So the Northeast Asia region, the recovery is driven by the strong intra-region connectivity and also the relaxed travel policy. For example, China waived the visa policy for Korean tourists. So now we can see many Korean travelers on the street during weekends in Shanghai, in Beijing, in the cities, in the top of first-tier cities. And also the strong connections between Korea and Japan in Central. So all this, including the business and the VFR travels, all this can help to boost the recovery of the Northeast Asian region. But also there are some potential challenges, including, for example, the currency issues and also the intensified destination competition from the Southeast Asia. And also there are also some visa facilitation delay issues in this sub-region. But overall, the Northeast Asia is the largest market share, largest sub-region in the Asia Pacific. For the South Asia, this is with the smallest scale, but is projected to have the fully recovered by 2025 and reaching 127.9% in the mild scenario and followed by the 108% under the medium scenario. Under the medium scenario by 2027, it will reach 19 million, 19.4. The recovery is driven by the visa facilitations, expanded air connectivity, and stronger destination branding. For example, what the destination did, including India and Sri Lanka, and also the government-led promotion, improved travel infrastructure, and digital payment adoption for the supported intra-regional travel growth. Again, this is the smallest scale region in Asia Pacific. For the Southeast Asia, by 2025, under the medium scenario, it will reach 140 million. Under the severe scenario, it will reach only 117 million, which is a decrease compared to 2024. This considers the current ongoing with a decreased destination image in destinations in Southeast Asia, for example, Myanmar and somehow Thailand due to the Thai fraud issue. So if the destination image cannot be recovered, then under the severe scenario, we can predict that the recovery cannot be on the correct track. But however, if this issue can be fixed, and then in the mild scenario, we can predict that by 2027, the visitor arrivals to Southeast Asia will reach 200 million. West Asia. In our report, Turkey is the only destination in West Asia which will have the fully recovery across all the three scenarios. And in the mild scenario by 2025, it will reach to, for example, 65.1 million. and reach 78.1 million by 2027. But in the mild scenario, it can even reach 107 million. But even in the severe scenario, it will reach 56.8 million. In Turkey, European visitors account for largest share, while Russian travelers dominate Turkey's south market. But impacted by the Russian-Ukraine war, Germany and the UK will be followed. Here is a question mark, as we just mentioned. Iran emerged as a high-growth market, project to reach 3.85 million under the medium scenario by 2025. But if the war goes on, then there is a question mark on the growth of this important source market to Turkey. The Pacific. The Pacific is the slowest recover region. In 2025, under the mid scenario, it will remain below 100% compared to the pre-COVID level. And however, if under the mild scenario by 2027, we can see it will reach 34.8 million. The challenges faced by this region we have mentioned, so I will skip this and then we can jump into the specific destinations. First, China. China will not recover to the pre-COVID level by 2025 under the medium scenario. It will reach only 90%. And we can see Hong Kong and Macau are still the largest two source market for China, although most of them are the same-day visitors. There are some good practice to recover the inbound market, including the ease of visa restrictions and also international visitors in China. Now it's more convenient for them to do the online payment. And because of the ease of the visa restrictions, the wave of visa for visitors from most European destinations, France stands alone with 21,812 visitors versus 2019, which shows the positive impact of the visa wave for the recovery of the market. There are also some barriers for the recovery, including the international flight costs and also the geopolitical stigmatization and also the competition from the Southeast Asian market. The USA, the recovery will reach 83 million under the medium scenario by 2027. The largest source markets are Canada, Mexico, followed by the UK, and the challenges we have mentioned. So hopefully this can be those uncertainties can be fixed. Then we can expect a more steady growth in the next 3 years. Thailand, based on our observation, Thailand didn't follow the median forecasting trend in 2025 in the first half of 2025 due to the destination image issue and also the issues between Thailand and Cambodia. So if the tele-fraud issue cannot be fixed, or the destination image cannot be recovered, then we predict in 2025 that the visitor levels will drop to 33.9 million compared to 2024 under the severe scenario. And even by 2027, it will only reach 44 million by the end of 2027. Although China has regained the largest source market in Thailand because of the tele-fraud issue, because of destination safety issue, so many Chinese visitors have already canceled their trip to Thailand. So what they can do, or what we suggest, is that they should rebuild the destination image as fast as they can. And also, in addition to the first-tier cities, they can also redirect Chinese market to the second or third tier cities, including Chengdu, Haiyin Central, and also they can try to boost the Middle East demand to somehow replaced the market share from China. India under the medium scenario, India will recover to close to approximate 12 million by 2027, and then Bangladesh and the USA remain the key source market, contributing 19 and 15% of the market share. However, recovery from Bangladesh may be delayed due to the current geopolitical tensions. But overall speaking, India has already did a very good job in the promotion of the market. So if the safety and stability issue can be fixed in the future, always in the short term, then we can expect that somehow India can recover between the medium and the mild scenario. Hawaii, as part of the US, it will not recover to the pre-COVID level, but close to it, around almost 99% by 2025 under the medium scenario. And also, it will reach 11.4 million by 2027. However, similar challenges to the US will happen in Hawaii, although Hawaii is dominated by the US and the visitors from Japan. So considering the weak performance of the Japanese yen, so if those currency fluctuations and also the uncertainties cannot be fixed, it will also impact the visitor arrivals to Hawaii in the near future. Then we come to the key source markets. For China, the top destinations for Chinese visitors are Hong Kong, Macau, Japan, Thailand, Korea, and then you can see visitors to the US has not recovered to the pre-COVID level yet, and we can also observe the decreasing trend of visitors to Chinese Taipei. For the US, the key destinations are Canada, Mexico, Hawaii, followed by Japan, China, and Turkey. Then we need to be cautioned that here we only include the destinations in Asia Pacific, so we cannot see any popular destinations in Europe for the US visitors. For Korea, the top destination is Japan, followed by Vietnam, China, and Thailand. So if the visa waiver policy can be continued, we can expect that China, the visitor arrivals from Korea to China will further increase in the future. For India, the top destinations in the Asia Pacific is the USA, followed by Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and China. We can see for the USA, it will enjoy an increasing trend, for same as Thailand and Singapore. All the top destinations will expand their markets. Turkey and Malaysia will rise significantly. Turkey will jump from the 12th to the 8th, and Malaysia will climb from the 5th to the 4th. For Japan, the largest destinations including Korea, China, and the USA. However, the weak performance of Japanese yen is a challenge for the visitors from Japan to travel to other destinations. Then let's do a quick recap. So by 2025, 18 out of 39 destinations are expected to fully recover to the pre-COVID level. And in 2027, visitor arrivals to Asia Pacific will be 600 million under the severe scenario, followed by 801 million under the medium scenario, and 936 million under the mild scenario. Subregions, Northeast Asia will be the largest source market in Asia Pacific. accounting for about 42% of the market share. West Asia achieved the highest recovery rate from 2025 to 2027. The Pacific will experience the slowest recovery in the next 3 years. And for South Asia, it will steadily expand, and also despite its smaller scale. So regarding the market structure, the top 7 destinations in Asia Pacific under the medium scenario will be China, the USA, Turkey, Hong Kong, Mexico, Japan, and Thailand, which are all over 40 million visitor arrivals by 2025. The top 5 source markets are China, the USA, Korea, Canada, and Chinese Taipei. The dominant regions in Asia Pacific are Northeast Asia, the Americas, and Southeast Asia. So the key shifts we can see from here, Southeast Asia will overtake the Americas, and the gap will be widened in 2027. We can, from this shift, we can see that visitors' travel preference has already changed from the long-haul market to the short-haul source market. Because remember, Northeast Asia is the largest sub-region in Asia Pacific, and compared to the America, Southeast Asia is closer. So because the preference changed from long haul to short haul, then which helped the Southeast Asia to surpass the Americas to be the second largest source region in Asia Pacific. And also we can see Southeast Asia shows strong growth compared to the weak performance of the Americas. Other information we can take away is Turkey and South Korea show robust tourism growth with high potential, well-established market. For example, Hong Kong, Japan, Thailand, and India require tailored policies to stimulate the visa facilitation and aviation incentives to accelerate the recovery. But again, due to the current war between Israel and Iran, so there is also a question mark on the further growth of Turkey. I think this is almost my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anilio, for providing these insights. So let me go back to the presentation. I would like to remind everyone that please submit your questions in the Q&A box. And while you're doing so, I would like to introduce you to the moderator for today's session, Mr. Pavnish Kumar, the Director of Project Management at PADA. Welcome, Pavnish.
Thanks, Rom. Hi, Professor Anil. Nice to see you again. So wonderful presentation, super insights, and I've been following and taking notes. I have lots of questions for you, and we have two from the audience as well. So let's start with the first one. So you have presented the forecast, and in this forecast, we have different scenarios, the mild, medium, and severe. So how should tourism stakeholders use this framework for strategic planning? What actions they would take now to prepare for the best and worst case outcomes?
Oh, thank you for the question. That's a very big question. Yeah, I think due to the existence of such big uncertainties in this period, so we generate forecasts based on the 3 scenarios. For example, in the severe scenario, consider all the uncertainties cannot be fixed or even be more severe in the future. Then what are the impacts on the inbound markets? However, for the mild scenario, we can foresee a bright future that considering that all those uncertainties can be fixed, and the future will be much brighter than what will happen in that scenario. And the medium scenario is the one that which we base on our baseline forecast. So for the industry partners, we see what is uncertainty? Uncertainty is that what we don't know in the future. So if we have, so when the industry partners, when they make their decisions, develop their strategical plannings, so if they have already considered the most severe cases and using numbers we generated under the severe scenario, then the results, all the results will be better than this scenario. So for example, if they say under the severe scenario, we do our planning and based on this scenario, we will not lose money, then bingo for you that in the future, you will not lose money because the other two scenarios will be better than this one. But even though under the severe scenario, you predict you will lose money, then you know for most, you can lose only this money. Then you can planning or say do some other alternative options to avoid this worst scenario. I think these are some big general advice that I can share with the industry partners. So particularly in this uncertainty period, when we do the planning, we do the decisions, we can be more conservative based on our severe scenario, and then the future will be better.
Fantastic. So in this scenario forecast that you have presented, we saw that the Pacific's recovery is projected to be the slowest. So any suggestions on innovative strategies that these destinations can adopt to be on the faster recovering side?
Yeah, as I think I mentioned a little bit for the recovery of the islands destinations in the Pacific. So there are a few reasons which lead to the slow recovery. First is the airline capacity, the airline connection, the airline has not been fully recovered. And second is the price issue. So one issue is that for visitors, it's a little bit far from them for them to travel to the island economy, and also the cost in the islands are much higher because due to the increased cost. So following the international supply chain, all the costs are transferred to the terminal destinations, which are the small island destinations. So how to conquer this is like, I think for those destinations, they can do some like a joint promotion to the destinations. If they can do a joint promotion, they can also even like tailor-made the air flight route from certain source markets to those destinations. And also safety issues and hygiene issues are the challenges they also need to face after the COVID. So there is a good practice that has already been done in the Pacific. For example, New Zealand has announced that for Chinese visitors who holding the valid Australian visa, they can go to New Zealand without a new visa without apply for the New Zealand visa. So this is a good practice that I think other destinations can follow.
Fantastic. So in the essence of time, I've got just 3 more questions for you. So the first one is, when we look at the key recovery drivers, which one offers the greatest competitive advantage in the next 2 years?
I would like to say 2, not 1. The first one, for sure, from the economic perspective, is the economic recovery. Only because of the economic recovery, then visitors can have more disposable income, then they can spend more on travel. So that's the fundamental factor for the recovery of our international inbound market. And the second is the connectivity. So even though I always say the economic recovery is from demand side, but the airline connectivity recovery is from the supply side. So they can complement each other. But without any of them, the market cannot recover.
Great. And the next question is more about the burning topic. So we have a lot of geopolitical tensions, and this is one of the key variables in your forecast. So is there a most significant risk to these projections from the geopolitical tensions, which you have mentioned? Yes. So how can destinations adapt their strategies to reduce this risk?
Well, To be honest, as a destinations, when the geopolitical issues have already happened, I don't think we have much to do. But what we can hope is that in the future, we can appreciate that we promote more humanity in the world. And as we all know, that tourism can lead to the peace. So we just wish that in the future, there are less geopolitical issues, less wars, and then using tourism as a tool to make people from different regions to understand each more better and be more friendly.
Fantastic. So I have one more question for you, but before that, I would like to take the questions from our audience that have been sharing their questions with us through Q&A. So the first one is, in Thailand forecast, this is a question from Imtiaz. He mentioned in the Thailand forecast, there was a reference to seafood instability, and he's asking, what does it mean?
That means if the inbound market cannot be recovered, as we know that, for example, Chinese visitors, they go to Thailand for seafood, for the cheap and value for money seafood. So if not many Chinese visitors go to Thailand, the local market cannot consume that much seafood. This is the issue that we're talking about. Oversupply of seafood if there is no enough tourists.
Okay. Then the second question would be from Haley, and she's asking in terms of her personal observation, she didn't see that many travelers coming to China. So her question is, would there be more transit visitors or overnight visitors?
Yeah, I think most of them are transit visitors, but the transit period can last to 10 days. So I think for the one reason, China is big, so we cannot see that many visitors as we see, for example, in London or in Paris. The other reason is that indeed the international visitors in China, the international market in China has not been recovered to the pre-COVID level. So you are right that there are less people compared to the pre-COVID level. But given the ongoing visa waiver policy, then we can expect there will be more and more international visitors to China.
And then the last question is from Swam. It's a lengthy question. I'll just put it in like one sentence. What destinations can do to mitigate the issues of longer flights due to geopolitical tensions? So practically any remedy for them to have the same number of tourist arrivals?
If in one sentence, I would like to say, be cautious to make the decisions, but always have hope for the future.
Okay. All right. And now, before I hand over to Rome, I just have one last question. In one word, what is the outlook for APAC tourism in 2025?
One word.
You can use two.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Professor Anu. Now I give it back to Rome.
Thank you very much, Avnish and Dr. Anu. Before we officially close this webinar for today, I would like to say that our webinar today has been in conjunction with the Asia Pacific Visitor Forecast 2025 to 2027 mid-year update. And so depending on your PADA membership, you might be able to download complimentary or at a discount. Feel free to scan the QR codes that you see here on the slides to get direct access via the PADA catalog or through the PADA Info Hub. As mentioned earlier, if you have any questions regarding access to these reports, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll also share an email address on the last slide, so stay tuned. I would also like to invite and remind everyone that the PADA Travel Mart 2025 is upcoming in August from 26 to 28 in Bangkok, Thailand. So again, we warmly welcome everyone to join us for this event in Bangkok. Feel free again, there is a QR code on the slide to get more information. Please scan it or reach out to us. And then I'm also excited to share that in December, we have the PADA Destination Marketing Forum in Chiang Rai, Thailand, from the 1st to the 3rd of December. So hopefully we will meet you there as well. And last but not least, we are excited for the next year PADA Annual Summit 2026 in May from 11 to 13, which will be held in Korea, South Korea, in 2 cities actually next year, in Gwangju and Pohang. So I hope I pronounced that correct. Please don't blame me on this. And then I would like to just say thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. Thank you to all the participants. Thank you for Dr. Anya Liu. Thank you for Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Thank you for PADA CEO Noor Ahmed Hamid for the welcome remarks. Thank you to Pavnesh for the moderating. If you have any questions that you would like our assistance, please feel free to reach out at the email address rong@pada.org. We're happy to help. And yes, thank you very much. And with that, I would like to close today's webinar. Thank you, everyone, and bye.
Bye.